Welcome to Conversations from the Barn at Everwood Farmstead. These are casual chats with visiting artists. Creaky barn, bugs, and all. Enjoy.
Hello, this is Chris. We're very happy to be here on a rainy spring evening with Bill and Warren and our special guest, artist on retreat, Vinnie from the Last Revel. We're so happy to have you here.
Yeah, glad to be here.
How has your week been?
So much.
So much.
It's been so much.
All the things.
All the things. I think generally speaking, incredible. Especially really the latter half of the week, something kind of shifted in me where it was just happy all the time. I was just happy all the time, and it was really easy to kind of like navigate trying to write and really easy to step away from the work when things weren't flowing smoothly. I feel like the first half of the week it felt a lot like it's obviously a beautiful property out here, and it was really nice to just have some time to myself. But the first half of the week was very much like trying to figure out what am I doing, what am I trying to create with this space, with this time. And then the latter half was very much letting go of that trying, and then I learned piano.
You did learn piano this week.
Yeah.
I remember at the beginning of the week when we were showing you the barn and the grand piano was all covered up. You're like, that's okay, I don't play. And I think it was Warren about midweek said, he's playing piano.
Such a lovely surprise. I took a walk in the morning and I walked past the barn and I heard the piano out of there and I was like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah, that was a surprise.
So you just one day in the barn decided, I'm going to teach myself how to play piano.
Yeah.
Was it a song that inspired the sound, or it just felt like wanted to be played?
It kind of felt like it wanted to be played, and I was kind of like I'd cycled through trying to start writing a song on my violin and on my acoustic guitar and on my electric guitar, and I kind of like got a few decent ideas etched out, but as trying to not force anything. So if an idea kind of got to a stale place, I just set it aside to try to work on something new.
Yeah.
And I just saw the piano in the corner and thought that it looked like it was in a very charming spot. I didn't have anything else on the mind to try and accomplish, so I just took the cover off of it and played a couple notes and thought that it sounded really beautiful and wanted to see what I could figure out on the piano.
So it looks as if you've been set up in that part of the barn, though, for the whole week, or did you now gravitate towards the piano?
I started on the other side of the barn.
No kidding. Okay, so for those who have been in the barn before, Vinnie's pointing to the east side of the barn, next to the sliding doors, and now he's set up in the northwest corner.
Yeah,
barn.
I laughed at myself pretty hard. I was like, shit, I have to move everything over to the other side of the barn now.
Because it looks as if you've been set up there all week, but no.
I really dug in.
You really dug in.
I really dug in
love
for the
that.
time I was there.
What did you learn about the piano as a creative partner?
It's an incredible tool for getting a top-down, kind of an aerial view of a song. I think that by nature of it being kind of a percussive instrument, you immediately have like rhythm in the forefront, but you also have melody in the forefront, and you also have just the chord shape and the harmony of that in the forefront as well. Everything is just right at your face. And that makes it easy to kind of recognize what you want and what you don't want. And by no means did I master the piano this week, but it was really an interesting experiment to try and write with the piano as kind of the primary instrument. I feel like I love playing the violin, but it was very much the opposite of the violin, where you kind of have, with the violin, when you're writing, I feel like you have to imagine a lot of things. You have to kind of just hear it in your own head for the violin parts to make sense and for it to be able to kind of like have a foundation to build on. Whereas piano, it's all there. Everything's literally at your fingertips.
Yeah. Has the Last Revel ever used piano on stage?
No, not on stage, but Lee and Ryan both are pretty good at playing piano, and I think that Ryan played piano on I think they both played piano as backing tracks on some of our album that we just recorded. So
I feel like one of them played the piano.
probably
Our
Lee,
set here.
I can't
last
recall.
year.
like 4-hour set,
Yeah. Is that possible?
maybe.
Maybe. Okay. Maybe I'm.
We were really taken by the moment here. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's impossible.
No.
Usually we don't, though.
Okay.
Tell us about your experience on the stage here at Everwood.
Yeah. It was incredible. I feel like I was coming off of a really busy summer.
And you had a new little one,
And
too.
I had a new little one at home.
Yeah.
For all the joy that she brings, it also makes my wife Julia and I constantly playing defense. So, yeah, it was nice to come out here at the end of a really busy summer where I was kind of like noticing some frustrating industry things that had previously shown up in earlier parts of my career. And so it's feeling that kind of like little jaded gremlin that I think exists in every musician kind of starting to rear up. And then came out here and played in your barn and was able to just kind of recognize that I was sharing music, sharing an experience with the crowd that wanted to come out and see it.
Yeah.
And that people went out of their way a pretty decent amount to make it to the show. And yeah, it was people we've seen before who have never come out to a smaller venue like this, or people who we had never met in our lives. It was really a beautiful spread of folks coming out to listen. And I feel like sometimes I get pretty... it's harder for me to play in a setting to... What's the capacity here? Is it
150?
Yeah. I feel like 150 is good. But kind of anywhere it's south of 150, I get a lot more self-conscious. It's a lot more difficult to play to smaller crowds and super intimate crowds. I'm just that much more worried about fumbling over a note or missing a lyric. But I really didn't feel that. This was like perfect here.
Right on. Because I was conscious of that. Like, your music is definitely so energetic. It's very the crowd is definitely in it with you. And it seems like you perform a lot where you also have a standing crowd as well.
Yeah.
And this is definitely not that. This is a seated crowd looking straight at you. And I was a little nervous that energy wouldn't transfer to the audience, but it definitely did. Like,
yeah.
man, our audience was just
Yeah.
so fired up.
Yeah, that was a good night.
It was a good night. Yeah, and I remember specifically talking. I mean, I remember looking at you guys, all three of you, and saying, I don't care when you want to come to the retreat, you just come. Like, it is yours. So I'm glad that you took us up on it.
Yeah, I'm really glad too. I saw the application come up. You had posted that you were accepting applications over the winter, kind of just like one late night while I was responding to emails after everybody else went to bed. And it's like, yeah, I should do that. I should.
What goes through your head when you're thinking about a decision like that? You're taking a week off. You got to work with the band. You got to work with your wife, your kid. Like, what goes through your head in that thought process?
To be honest, in this moment, I have never been accepted for an artist grant or a retreat of any nature that I've applied to, which I haven't applied to a majority, or like I haven't applied to many, but I've been unequivocally rejected from all of them. So
that was stupid for all those prior decision makers.
You all missed out.
Straight up stupid.
So I guess I was not expecting y'all to respond so positively.
Yeah.
I mean, I was expecting you to respond positively. I wasn't expecting to be accepted for the opportunity. So.
What? So you just played a track for us of stuff you did this week. Talk about the various instruments that are part of that.
Yeah. So I brought out my electric guitar, my acoustic guitar, my violin, and my upright bass, and I only played of my own instruments. I played my violin on that track, and then I played the piano. That, as we talked about, just kind of called to me. And then just you can, as I was mentioning before we started talking. Or before the podcast started, the barn itself was kind of a third instrument, with all the chipmunks and birds and squeaking of the weather vane, all kind of just fit in the perfect spots that made the piano track in particular a very kind of singular moment.
How did nature inform or affect your week?
Well, it rained a lot. It was really sunny, and it rained a lot. It was
a windy week too.
Yeah, it was very windy. There were a couple times where I liked writing with all the doors open, but if I was tracking things, I had to shut down the barn. So as to get the mics to not just have a constant whooshing sound.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the rain really, I don't know, there's a combination there of the really stormy weather, kind of forcing me to kind of sit in one place and not go be super active out in your trails and going jogging in excess. And I don't know, rainy weather just always makes me reflective and kind of look inwards and look back towards previous writing I've done. And in the evening, like it was raining quite a bit in the evenings too, which was nice to like sit inside and hear it through the windows and just sit and read review the books that everybody else had written in.
Yeah.
To see the kind of, man, you had some enthusiastic former guests.
Yes, we have.
Indeed. That library is, the library can be a big detractor from
Distraction.
a big distraction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The very first night when you came, we had a lovely happy hour on our little barn cafe out here, and we talked about the muse in the walls of a place where you create. And those artist retreat albums, our book of days, where you get to see who came and what their experience is like, is a very strong evidence of the muses that have been here. How does that affect your week or your time or the energy that you sense in a place, this place?
Yeah, I think that it certainly made it feel like I don't think I had mentioned to you yesterday, I think, that I don't think I've had more than 3 hours of alone time in my adult life between just having roommates or now having a family, and then spending my other time being in a van with 3 or 4 other people. It's that I just don't get alone time, which is fine. I don't mind that. But I think that any times I did feel lonely, I could flip through that book and just kind of feel this sort of spirit of community in the air, in the room, in the house, which was inspiring and made me happy, made me feel good to know that I'm part of that same community.
We appreciate that. That was actually very intentional for that exact thing. When we were benchmarking other retreats in the country, most of them are community experiences. Even though you may have a solo work experience during the day, people come together in the evening. And we were really curious, how do you create community in a solo experience?
Right, in a place where everybody's ships in the night.
That's right. And the Book of Days is one part of it. The other is that all of the artwork in the retreat has been left by artists who have been here.
Oh, cool.
You saw the LPs. A lot of those LPs were left by artists that have been here. And we were hoping in those light ways that everybody's kind of leaving evidence, but also kind of planting an energetic support.
Yeah, it's palpable.
From behind.
Was the painting of the guy in the red coat, was that someone who...
No, that is part of our...
That is someone we're hoping to get here, for sure.
Yeah. 2 of our favorite painters actually paint in collaboration together.
Oh, cool.
And are now actually on separate... they're bi-coastal, and so they
Interesting.
still come together on occasion, and we won't name them, but it is sort of one of our bucket list artists to have here, to bring them together.
Sure.
In the Midwest, bring the coasts together here for a painting exercise. But
That'd be cool.
yeah.
Certainly, I feel like I became friends with the guy in the red coat.
Yeah. What'd you talk about?
He didn't really say a whole lot.
I keep hoping for a song or a play or something about him, because he feels ripe.
Yeah.
You've got a few hours left.
Yeah.
In case he does start talking to you tonight.
Yeah. Well, I wrote actually 2 songs this morning. I wanted to record one of them and try it out on the piano, but kind of reached the threshold of my technical skills for the piano, so I think I need to write one more song yet that doesn't involve the piano. Maybe it's about the guy in the red coat.
Okay.
it is one of my favorite pieces in that house. And we haven't had the heart to take it off that wall, because as soon as we put it on that wall, it was like money.
Yeah.
Because it's a hard piece to find a space for. That's so tall and but yet so
and so
narrow.
distinct too. Those colors are just
Right?
so very distinct.
Yeah, I love it.
Is there anything from this time this week? You've had a very rare opportunity of quiet time, and maybe some rituals around your own practice as an artist that maybe have revealed themselves. Anything you want to take home with you? Anything you want to continue?
Yeah, I think definitely pulling back layers to a song is so much more important than I think we give it credit for in the moment of in the act of writing. I feel especially with as busy of a life as we all tend to hold these days. I think it's really easy to just kind of write a lyric to get the rhythm of the vocal delivery down, and you kind of thought that's not the lyric and I'm going to come back to that, but then you don't come back to that, it just is the lyric. And I think this week really gave me an opportunity to take the time to set something down, step away from it, and come back to it with a clear mind, and again, not really try to force anything, but just see if there's a gentle step one way or the other in terms of lyrics that just kind of fits a better vibe, for lack of better. Everybody's saying vibe these days, but I don't think that there's a better way to describe it especially with music. I guess with all art probably, but it's like you can be forcing something, and as long as you're forcing something in your art, you're never going to kind of find that release that just makes something really special and singular and good.
Sounds like you get to have a relationship with it rather than just force it.
Yeah.
Warren, any questions from you after your week together?
Gosh, I don't know if I have any questions. The first morning when I woke up and heard music coming out of the barn, this is the first. You're the first artist that I've, been with here, and I just was so struck by the way that the music rolls out of those front barn doors and across the valley and the fields, and how audible it is from so far away. I took a walk, probably close to a mile down that road, and I could still hear the music. I just think that's so cool, and it's such a cool space, and I'm so glad you took advantage of it.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm gonna miss it. I miss it a lot. I kind of got sad when I was opening up the doors and getting everything set up this morning. It's like, this is a perfect space, and it's just feels so good to have just kind of a workspace with something like this, especially when I feel like, from kind of the tradition of music that I come from, having a guitar and having your voice, or having a violin, having your voice is your workstation. You don't necessarily have which is good in some facets. Like, you can write a song in the park. You can write a song while you're waiting for the bus. You can write a song anywhere. But to have somewhere that is a very intentional space for creation is really special.
Love it.
We have a traditional question that we ask that closes all of our podcasts.
Sure.
And so we will ask you, as a car is coming over the hill, how have you experienced beauty today?
I think taking my daily lap around the old farmhouse and recognize, well, there's too many answers for that question. Because I noticed, well, just noticing the birds around the old farmhouse and kind of just looking at where all the shingles are kind of falling through, and just I had a very, very beautiful experience with that. Then also,
I love that gives you joy and beauty, because it gives me nothing but anxiety. So
I was meaning to ask you guys about that.
Nothing but anxiety.
Sure. But I love how it's not abandoned, but it's abandoned. It's such a
It
great.
is very much alive.
Yeah.
It is.
But by the way that you still mow the lawn around it, and you have a nice easy path to go access it and walk around it. It's like a living, breathing sculpture. But then also, while I was working in here in the barn later this afternoon, I got to watch a family of, I think they were bigger than mice, but they weren't rats, and there were some sort of marmoty looking thing. But there were a family of them chasing each other around the kind of my workspace.
In here?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a hole over there I can show you where they were jumping in and out of.
And it wasn't chipmunks?
Might have been chipmunks, but I don't.
I hope it was chipmunks.
Could have been chipmunks.
Okay.
Ah, nature.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always nice to kind of witness the cute little rodents of nature.
Yeah. We had to evict a couple of raccoons.
I was
Before
wondering
your
about
visit.
that.
So as soon as you said that, I'm like, oh my God, they're back.
No, they weren't raccoons.
Okay,
And,
good.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering about that. It's like, am I going to show up in here one day? Well, last night actually, I left my book up here. I like reading before bed. So I came back up here after I turned off all the lights, and I just had my cell phone out and heard something kind of scurry around, and looked up. And it was not a raccoon, but there's a part in my deep in my soul that was afraid that I was going to get jumped by a feral raccoon.
Been there.
Your National Lampoon moment.
Yeah. Thank you for taking the leap of faith with us.
Yeah, thank you.
Such
Thank
a
you
pleasure to have you here this week.
Yeah, this was really special. Thank you very much.
We have loved hearing your beautiful music coming out of the barn this whole week. Thanks for saying yes.
Thanks for listening to Conversations from the Barn at Everwood Farmstead. Our theme music is provided by John Mark Nelson. Wishing you all good health.